Hello, hello, Fems. Happy Monday. I am Violet Danielle. I'm the founder and CEO of FemCity, and you are joining me today for our Monday Motivation Series. I always have guests on with me to help you kick off the week in harmony and positivity and lots of good vibes. Today, I have one of our new FemCity Global members. Her name is Stephanie McCullough. I actually had to practice saying her name, so I'm so happy and proud of myself that I nailed it. Today, we're actually talking about heart-centered businesses, how we can go ahead and rekindle that love for the work that we do, or maybe find a love for work that we want to do in this world as well. So that is going to be our theme for today. Feel free to ask questions along the way. Stephanie and I want you to feel so great about starting the week. We want you to feel connected to the work that you're doing, whether it's new or you're thinking about doing something new or you've been doing it for a long time. That is our intention for you guys today. So we hope that you feel it. Stephanie, before we get started, share a little bit about who you are, kind of like your background, in a couple of sentences, just so that femmes that don't know who you are can kind of start feeling feeling the energy out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a financial planner, and I work specifically with women who want a true partner in their financial decision making. I've been doing this work for 23 years now. It was a career change for me, and it was definitely a process to kind of find my way in this kind of world of money, which we'll touch on a little bit.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. And so money is a really big topic. So you will see Stephanie in more classes. She's teaching for us again for the month of October. And that is one of our most requested classes from our femmes is like money blocks, how to make money, how to have a wealth mindset. So this is right up most of the requests that we do get in from our members. So just to get started, for those of you that have no idea what a heart-centered business is, Stephanie, could you share what a heart-centered business means to you so that we all start on the same playing field?
Yeah, so it's so funny because, in my world of finances and money and investments, people would often think, well, how the heck is that heart-centered, right? It seems to be very spreadsheets and math and, kind of cut and dried. And I think it's completely the opposite. So it really is connecting with people and hearing their stories and really seeing them, because our money touches all the most important parts of our life. It's a very intimate topic and it's very emotional, unlike kind of traditional economics, which imagined that everyone was purely rational about things. Baloney, like it's a very emotional topic. So, to me, financial planning is really heart-centered because it's kind of making that connection between two people kind of heart to heart. And really helping. I help my clients align their decisions around their money with what's in their heart, really with, that truest life that they want to lead.
Love that. Love it. So really what I'm feeling or getting is that you are doing you've got your superhero talent, which is helping people with money, and you're connecting soul to soul in a way that you can help them with whatever goals they have. And I think that example is so beautiful. And so many of us, whether you're, you own a Pilates studio or you are a hairdresser or you're someone who's thinking about creating jewelry, we create for others and we want to help them in their life, whether it's to be more fit physically, whether it's to feel more confident with certain jewelry pieces, or perhaps, as Stephanie is sharing now, having more money in their pocket so they have more peace of mind as well. So I love that soul to soul connection. I think that's the part. Part of us doing this theme for the month of October is that we know that the energies are really heavy out there. October, it's been a very stressful year. A lot of our femmes, I'm so proud of them. A lot of them have pivoted really fast. They're still growing their businesses. They had to make a lot of changes. It was definitely stressful, but I see so many flourishing. But that might not be the case for so many others that are watching right now, perhaps that are new to FemCity. And so I think that the reality is that you may have felt a disconnect with the work that you were doing. Perhaps if you've been furloughed or you've been let go completely, or that you realize right now, you know what, I don't want to go back and do what I've been doing before the pandemic. I really kind of want to start doing something that I love and that I feel heart-centered too. How do you bring in, and my intention asking you this is to see how you connect that soul part of the work that you do. How do you bring that in with your work when you're dealing with someone that's new, as an example? How do you make sure that you always come across from your heart first?
Yeah. And it really is, I think it gets down to listening, to caring, showing that care, and making space for whatever that person has going on right then, whatever they need to share. You know, creating a safe space, a non-judgmental space, really, because we judge ourselves so much around our own money and our behaviors in finances that, you know, creating that space where we can get it out and then look at it and talk about it. Yeah. So I think I mean, I know so many people are in situations of disruption right now. I don't know, for me, what always helps, even when I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed at work, is making that connection with someone. Yeah. You know, calling up a client or someone, or just even, you know, another femme or someone that I know, and being like, how are you really? You know, and that kind of tends to wash away all the other crud that's accumulated to get back to what really is most important.
I love that. I love it. You know, I always say, and if you've heard me say this a million times, I'm sorry, but it's so true. Humans do business with humans they love. And so if you are feeling stress, you're thinking, I can't make ends meet. How am I going to pay for the mortgage? How am I going to get food on the table? And you have your own business. You know, instead of approaching it like, I need to have this client, I need to like step back and move forward from a soulful place and say, how can I be of service to that person? How can I, you know, how can I connect with them? And I love that you shared that, because I think so many times when we're in that chaotic state, and I've been there, by the way, like I'm open about, I've hit rock bottom a couple of times. So I know what it's like to be in that state of like desperation and not knowing how you're going to make ends meet, is that energy just coming back and just regrounding, finding that clarity and say, what am I really good at? What's my superhero talent? How can I serve others with that? Yeah. How can I be really beneficial to someone else? What are 3 tips that you can share with femmes that are looking to run or shift into a more heart-centered business? You shared a couple already, but if someone is really struggling to find the love again for the work that they were doing, or trying to connect with any love for work that they want to do, let's say they hated their other job. Now that it's off the table, now they can do whatever they want. How do they find that heart-centered? What are the things that they can do to connect to that heart-centered aspect of themselves?
Yeah, I was thinking about this when you sent me the questions ahead of time, and really it parallels what I ask people to do about their money. And step 1, or even step 0, right before you do anything, is to take that time and get in a quiet place and really figure out what is most important to you. What, you know, are your values? What is your aspirations and goals? What are your core desired feelings, to quote Danielle Laporte? Like, what are the things that you really, that are essential for you? I think that has to be the first step that guides what comes afterwards, right? So step 1. And sometimes it's double checking, wait, is this really my value, or is this somebody else's value that I picked up along the way? Whether it's what my parents told me along, you know, my whole life, or what I'm assuming my community expects of me. You know, sometimes it takes a little of clearing away of that stuff to figure out, no, wait, what's really mine? And I think there's always that little tiny voice in you, you know, if there's a disconnect going on there. So that would be step 0. And then the next step is, and again, this parallels what I tell people with money, like, notice the things that start to throw you off course, right? Like maybe you meditate in the morning and you're in a good place, and then stuff comes up along the day. And by the end of the day, you're like, you're in a bad place. Like, taking some time to notice those patterns and figure out what threw me off. Ooh, I got a call from that one client that makes my stomach clench every time I see her name on the caller ID. You know, that's something going on. Or I have to tell you, for me, if I have an appointment with anybody else, I'm 5 minutes early. I am there. I will not blow it off. But if it's an appointment with just me, you know, people say, put it on your calendar, it'll get done. No, if it's an appointment with just me, like, I'll blow that off and steamroll it for other things. Like, I know that's something I've got to work on. So what are your own patterns that tend to like get in your way?
Love that.
And then I think the next one is trying to figure out who you can go to for accountability, because it's really easy to spiral in our own heads. But, you know, if I have a good friend that I connect with on a regular basis, or, you know, a small accountability group, or a coach, or, you know, I've got a couple friends that we touch base every month and say, hey, you said you were going to do that thing last month. How's it going? Because you need to get that perspective and step out of your own head sometimes to figure the big view and see really what's going on. Because it's so easy to get caught up in the stresses and the bills that are due, or, you know, the current demands on you. But it takes a conscious effort to get that perspective, I think.
I love that. So I wrote down, as you were sharing, I wrote down, I love that you touched upon the narrative, that sometimes it's somebody else's narrative that you've acquired to be as your own. But when you do that exercise, you're like, wait a moment, that's not even my story. That's not my narrative. That's not really what happened. That's not really what I want. I love that, because I find, and for whatever reason, I think when women get over the age of 40, I have so many friends that are going through that, and they're calling it a midlife crisis. I'm like, it's not a midlife crisis. It's that you're realizing all this other stuff doesn't matter. The narratives, are no longer, they're no longer part of your story. You realize now, whatever. So I love that you mentioned that. And I love that you mentioned the triggers and the patterns. That is something that I have been trying to teach one of my children. I'm not going to mention which one, but whenever you get into a grouchy mood, or whenever you feel like your tummy's turning, or whenever you feel like you're going to get sick, maybe you have diarrhea or whatever, it's always based on some trigger and looking to see, because then it helps you to figure out how you can move past that and not go through that. So you do have some love coming through. You have an anonymous Facebook user that says, "Love Stephanie." Aww. We love that. We don't know who you are, but we appreciate it. And Lisa says, "So true about checking if it's really your own value or someone else's." Great advice. I agree. I think that was the that's the one I have to say. I'm going to be almost 50, and that is one that I continuously go back to. You think that you've knocked out the narratives, and then like something else will happen. You're like, that's not my narrative. That's not my story. That's their story.
Right?
Yeah, it's funny. You think that you'll like nail it by the time you're 35, and then you're like, no, still happens. Still going on.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a hanging on my wall over here. It's a quote from Brene Brown, and it just says, "My story, my ending."
I love that. Yeah. She's got so many good bite-sized quotes. Yes. I was just saying, I think she's like the queen of bite-sized quotes. And if you do have any questions for Stephanie, feel free to ask. We're going to start wrapping it up. And if you're watching this in the library later on, you can always reach out to Stephanie as well. So we want you to continue to have that conversation with us, and we want to, of course, be of service to you beyond this. So final advice for someone who is trying to rekindle the love that they have for the work that they're doing in this world.
I really struggled when I first started in this industry. It was kind of a default. We were moving back to the Philadelphia area, and my husband had a job, and I was like, shoot, what am I going to do? I guess I could go work with my dad. And he was a lifetime financial advisor, but he has an MBA from Wharton. I don't. And he's a natural born sales guy. And that gene skipped me and went to my brother. Like, sales, I hate it. So I kind of came in and thought, oh, I can't do this work because I'm not like him. But I have to say, I found other people in my industry who were much more of a mind with me. So people who follow something called life planning, which is really this, hey, the money part, that's just a tool. We're here to try to, line things up for your life and what you want to accomplish. And that was a big aha moment. And then I found other people in the industry that kind of spoke my same language. And I was like, ooh. So sometimes kind of getting out of your own little bubble and finding, and sometimes it's people from other industries, that you can take something from and be like, oh, I love what she said. How can I apply that to what I'm doing? Even if it seems totally disparate, there's probably some kernel, even if just, in the content you put out there or the way you talk to people. I feel like there's so much to be learned and so much great stuff. And that's why I love what you do, Violet, with Fems. There's just so much out there and exposing us to really passionate, amazing people and their ideas. I get a lot of energy from that.
Oh, love that. Love that. You have another love piece coming through. Great advice from anonymous Facebook user as well. So thank you so much for all that. I was thinking, there was a member one time who got a job a couple years ago. She got a job, and it was a really good job offer, and it was a lot of money, and she really hated it. Honestly, she hated it. It was not in her spectrum, but it was really good money, and she couldn't release it. She has kids in college and all that stuff. And I remember seeing her shift, and she kind of had that, you know what, I'm stuck in this job. I have to do it. It's really good money. I've got to make it work. And what I saw her do is adding the components that she loved most into this job role. So she loved hosting events, and she loved networking with people. And she added that into her full-time gig, and it actually lasted. I mean, it was a really good, because she wouldn't have, she was miserable. She was totally miserable. So if you can find the things that you do absolutely love and start doing more of that, sometimes I feel like I mean, she stayed there for a couple of years. So proud of her. And then of course she moved on to something greater, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're in that place. And if you're in that place, my intention in sharing that story is if you're in that place and you don't have a choice, and you've got the salary, totally get it. We get it. But maybe there's some things that you can add to it that would make you have more joy doing that role until you get the bigger role later on.
I think that's true. A lot of people feel like their positions aren't creative, but everybody can be creative in their function. And I think there's always, you know, a role for your mindset and your attitude and what you're bringing to it. So even if it feels something that's, you know, just drudgery and so unpleasant to you, I don't know, optimistically, I feel like you can find a way to build on, and maybe it's like you said, find the pieces of it that you enjoy and try to expand that so that in the next role, you know, that's what they've seen you really shine at.
And you're happier too. I think she was so miserable. It was like she would practice her pitches with us and you could see the pain. Like you could see her like really absolutely hitting these pitches and not liking it at all. It was a pure sales role. And she's a salesperson, but she wasn't really passionate about this product or this company. And, you know, adding those components made her happier. And so when she was doing the pitches, her energy was so much better that people feel that. I think that people feel your energy. I know that when I was on bottom of the barrel, like my energy was super intense because I was like, oh my God, I need money. And that was scaring people. So definitely I've seen both of those. And so if you can do your very best to try to get into that space of finding the joy in the now so that your energy and others will feel more connected to you. Stephanie, this was so amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so grateful. You have very good energy. I've enjoyed my time with you. How can Fems find you? You are on our teacher and speaker page. You're obviously a member in Philly also. But beyond that, is there a website or any way that you'd like for Fems to connect with you after this?
Yes, actually, my new podcast has just gone live. It's called Take Back Retirement, and it's for women of a certain age, 50 and better, really, is kind of the target market, who are looking at whatever retirement might mean, right? I kind of hate that word, but at the same time, you know, getting to that phase of life where you're free from the need to work for money, you know, and you could really be at choice at things. So that's out there now. And there's a website, takebackertirement.com. And then my business is Sophia Financial. That's Sophia with an F. So sophiafinancial.com is the website, and all kinds of info on how I work and all that kind of stuff. And we try to put blog posts out there, be on social media, really want to get the message out to that, you know, we can all make wise financial decisions.
Love it. Love it. What was the website? What was the podcast again? Take Back
Retirement.
Take Back Retirement. Okay. I'm going to add it. So if you're watching this or listening to this, head back over to wherever you're watching this, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or on the FemCity library, and I'll have the links there for you. So it makes it really easy for you to reach out to Stephanie. We are so grateful. We hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. Knock it out of the park. Believe in yourself. You've got this. And for more info on FemCity, head over to femcity.com, and we will see you guys next Monday. Bye.